Content is king. It's still raining. And if you want to say queen, that's fine too. The principle that I want you to get though, content can help you close more deals. And we're going to explain to you how that can happen on this episode. Specifically, 3 pieces of content that can really cause some magic. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have a fantastic guest. I want to tell you a little bit more about my man here. Is Zach Basner. Now, if you want to get connected with Zach, you can find all of his information in the show notes. But Zach works at an organization called Impact, and we've been able to do some collaboration with them in the past, and they're just a fantastic group of people to work with. They know their stuff. He is a digital and sales marketing coach and also a keynote speaker, and you'll hear him on this episode. He's fabulous at articulating himself and the content that he has. But more in particularly, he's going to be able to break it down and share with you how you can take this and apply it to your business. Creating content as a sales professional or sharing content, utilizing it in the sales process is something that still works. The problem is many people don't do it right. And I'm still learning myself. So I'm sitting here in this episode like a student, just like writing stuff down. He's going to break down those things for you so you can learn and grow. Speaking about learning and growing, if you're trying to utilize LinkedIn as a sales professional, you got to check out what I have to offer. We have a LinkedIn program designed specifically to help sales professionals like you and me to build pipeline. We're going to show you how you can generate at least 3 appointments per week utilizing LinkedIn without spamming. Again, for the folks in the back, without spamming. You can find all the details about that. Just go to theSalesEvangelist.com. At the top banner, you can go ahead and sign up, or you can find more information in the show notes to learn more about the program. As we dive into this episode today, listen to what Zach has to share. Take advantage of these things. And I love the idea that he presented with that 80%. I ain't much going to tell you about it. You just have to listen to it. It's a cool idea. Check it out. Zach, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Donald. The pleasure is all mine, believe me.
Oh, this is going to be fun. I know everyone here is listening to this episode. They're all, riled up because I gave a little pep rally there in the intro and a teaser why this is going to be fun. Because I think in my conversation and in my experience as a sales rep, you got to take control of your pipeline. If you just leave it to chance or leave it to marketing or to the company to take care of it, it's like, God bless you. You're probably not going to have the result that you desire. And episode like this, where it empowers me as a seller to be able to do things to help to fabricate or design the outcome, not fabricate, but design the outcome that I want. I'm all day, every day excited for that. So anyways, I know we're all pumped for you, but I bragged about you a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about what you do, man.
So I'm a digital sales and marketing coach at Impact, which means I have the unique pleasure of working with business leaders in all sorts of different industries all over the world, helping them really take control of their digital sales and marketing destiny. So we like to say that outsourcing, you shouldn't be relying on outsourcing, right, when it comes to your marketing. So we teach companies how to be sufficient on their own. And that includes all sorts of great sales coaching and leadership coaching, all that stuff too. So it's my dream job and I love it.
That's so good, man. We're going to put back some stuff back in the show notes because I'm a fan of what you guys are doing. I think it's empowering.
Yeah.
Because again, you teach, you can go and fish for me all day long and that's cool. But when the stuff hit the fan and I need to fish for myself and you're not around, I might starve and I don't want to eat bark. So
yes.
I need to,
and that is the model, right? Teaching others how to fish for themselves. Yeah. That's what we believe.
Love it. The challenge at hand as a sales rep is, there's so much, so many difficulties, but specifically we need more deals in a pipeline. We need to create more opportunities. Content is still reigning, no matter way you look at it. Before it was like just solely blog. You have podcasts, you have videos, you have so many different things. And I don't need to speak to the expert. That's your field. You guys know that content still reigns. So encouraging salespeople to take advantage of creating content or utilizing content is important. You talk to me about this for a little bit. Speak to this. Why you feel content is so critical for a sales rep in the sales process these days, 2023 now.
Well, content is just one of the greatest sales tools that we can have as a rep. because it allows this buyer that we're working with, this customer that we're working with, to navigate their buying journey on their own terms. So in other words, we as consumers don't want to spend a bunch of time with salespeople. In fact, the studies show that anywhere between 70 to 80% of the buying decision is made before we even raise our hands to the salesperson. So if we want to react to that as sales reps, as sales organizations, we have to say, okay, if they want to be in the driver's seat and they want to make sure they're making a good decision on their terms, well, then we have to become great teachers and guide them through that process of making a buying decision. Content, it doesn't matter what form it takes, video, articles, LinkedIn posts, doesn't really matter what it is, but having that education there available to them for them to consume gives us a really unique advantage when they don't want to spend a bunch of time with us.
Yeah, and I think you're the third conversation I'm having in recent days, recently, where we're talking about how much the buyer fall into that category where they're like, bro, I can shop by myself. It reminds me of like going into like the store, like going to the mall. Like,
Yeah,
I don't really need you to, escort me around the store. I can do it until I need your help. If your website was good enough or whatnot, I might found some stuff and I'm here and I'm just physically want to see and touch some of it. But I'm going to buy something, but just let me be. Don't need you on that part. I'll call you when I'm ready. And I think that's the same thing we're seeing online right now. It's like, bro, don't come over here. I'll call you when I'm ready. And if you don't have the content, I won't be able to show up to do the research or to prep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the old school tech, and if there's one thing that sales leaders and RevOps teams listening to this to walk away with is, don't be those helicopter sellers or organization where you're just like hovering and being annoying. Give me an opportunity to have an experience by myself as a buyer. I'm smart enough to be able to make some of those basic things or to how to function a website. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't mean you have to necessarily sacrifice your leadership through the buying process or through the sales process. So we have a principle that we know as assignment selling. And what assignment selling is all about is we want to be the one that's leading the buyer versus the buyer leading us. So many of us have had an experience when we're working with a salesperson. It feels like the only way it's really moving forward is us asking the right questions. You ever feel that? It's so frustrating. It's like, I came to you because I needed help. And with assignment selling, so that is actually leveraging this content in a smart way that we're getting things to them before a sales appointment. We're able to say things like, look, when we meet next Friday, we're going to be having a big conversation. You're getting ready to perhaps spend a lot of money. And I know you don't want to make any mistakes in the process of doing that. In order to make sure you don't make any mistakes, I'm going to make sure you're really well prepared. And so I'm going to send you a couple things right now that are going to help you make this decision in a smart way. And now when we position it like that, now the content has value, and hopefully we can be very specific as to what they're going to get out of it. And so their likelihood of consuming it is much higher. That's assignment selling. What a lot of people think is that, go ahead, Donald.
Finish up your thought and I'll come back to it. I'll put a note.
What a lot of people think is that content is just out there and it might be good at bringing people in, but it loses its utility once they're talking to me. So once they're talking to me, now I'm the teacher, right? Now I'm the one that needs to go through this whole process. In reality, what the studies will tell us is it's no different. Even when you start talking to them, they still want to make a decision on their own terms. It's our job to be the guide through that journey and give them the proper education. And many times that comes in the form of content. And so, we'll get into a few different types of content that you can use to do that. But the first box we have to check here is that, okay, even if when you have the content, you have to be skilled at assigning it in such a way that they will actually consume it. Because if not, then it's all for nothing.
Okay. Because now you kind of led to that where we're going to go into some of those different things. Because I was going to say, what can I give? Like, how can I, what kind of assignment are good assignments to give out to a prospect? And if there's any examples, just to get contextually.
Yeah. So here's a big one. We have a video that we teach. It's called the 80% video. And the way that we came up with a name for this video is that we started talking with a lot of sales teams and polling them. Out of all of the questions that you get on the first sales appointment, so your first interaction with a prospect, what percentage of those questions would you say are the same every single time. And most teams would say somewhere around 80% of the questions that we answer them every single time. So the question is it possible, since we know what the questions are, is it possible we could address them before that sales interaction? And if we did answer them before that interaction, what effect could that have on that first sales appointment? Now, of course, if you create this 80% video, you have to understand the skill of assignment selling so that they actually consume it. But assuming they do, first thing is you've already addressed some of those, high level questions. They've had the chance to see your face and hear your voice and get to know you a little bit more. And because you've addressed these things, you can have a deeper, perhaps, conversation, or you can even disqualify somebody before you even have to waste their time or your time if you can address things up front. And that's just, 80% video. You could call it 80% content. It doesn't have to be video, but we find that when it is in video form, it's much more successful because people actually watch it and they start building that relationship with that rep before they ever have that first interaction.
I love it. I mean, I'm just in my mind right now. This is one of the bad things with like a podcast. It's like I get all these great ideas and then I take it back and I'm like, team, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Get so much good insights. But no, I think it's cool. Like the giving the education and then helping the person understand prior to it. But I also thought too, and like in some situations, I'm sure there've been people who, because of that 80%, said maybe cancel the next meeting or just say, hey, let's sign up, because they already got the 80% content answered, because the majority of their question maybe was in those pools. You know what I mean? Like, do I really need to go for a deeper discovery if I can jump into, like in our case, our next cohort, if that 8% video answered a lot of their stuff? You know what I mean?
And that's the goal. The goal would be that because he made it and because he assigned it and because they consumed it, they show up to that and they say, hey, I watched that video, answered the things I had on my mind. When can we start? And you haven't even started the meeting yet. And they're already ready to go. You know what I mean? And it's a great tool as well for disqualifying. I had a client that sells a certain type of machinery, and a huge swath of their time was spent with prospects that couldn't actually even afford the type of machine that they were selling. And so in their 80% video, they just gave, we have two different models. This model starts here. This model starts here. They didn't give some long drawn out explanation as to why it costs what it costs, just the floor price, just the starting at price. And because they had that and because they started using that, now they noticed an immediate difference in the quality of leads that they were now talking to. They actually had conversations with, because people were able to disqualify themselves much earlier. And that's a good thing for us in sales. For this company, they couldn't just scale their sales force to keep talking with all these people. They couldn't afford it to begin with. So you look at examples like that and you say, okay, if we thought about what these major questions and concerns and worries are that we're always addressing almost every time, and let's say there's 5 or 6 of them, you could address them individually in a video, or the 80% video really is address them all. Even if this thing might be 10 minutes long, as long as we're skilled at assigning it and they watch it, it will do what we need it to do.
Bro, if you were if I'm interested in buying maybe say a software, and I'll say I'm buying a sales navigator. I'm making this up, but
yeah.
But then I got an assignment video. Because most people do the assignment video. Bro, this is so genius. Most people do the assignment video. Go back to the first thing that you said. They come prepared, right? But they'll do the assignment video, quote unquote, by going to YouTube. I do that because I'll go to, if I'm going to meet with a company, I look at your YouTube, because I'm pretty sure they have demos in there, especially software. And I see what the demos already have that they created. And then I come to the next meeting or whatever, and it guide me. But oh my goodness, you guys are freaking genius. It makes sense.
But that's a great case study in you want to be informed.
Yeah.
You want to be ahead.
Yeah.
You want to be as ahead as possible. So what sometimes people will say is, well, Zach, I assign homework to the prospect. How are they going to react to that? You'd be shocked at how they're going to react to that once you start doing it, so long as it's valuable. You can't necessarily assignment sell long manuals for something, or a flyer where it's just a sales piece. If it's something, though, that actually helps them make a better decision, helps them navigate their purchase, they will value it. When they won't value it is when it's just a big, salesy thing talking about how great we are and things like that. That's That's the about us video, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be as successful assignment selling something like that. You got to make sure it has some real utility. And the 80% video is a great one to use before initial sales appointments. And then there's another one as well that we call the bio video, or, employee bio video. Now, what this isn't is a biopic about a person to talk about their whole life. It's enough information that allows that prospect to see, hear, and know that person before you see, hear, and know them. You gave a great example earlier. You said, I'm walking around the mall, whatever. Let's say you're at Best Buy, all right?
Yeah.
And you're looking at all your options there in front of you, and that person in that nice blue polo walks up to you and they say something pretty innocent. They just say, hey, can I help you? And of course, our first response in that moment is to say what?
No, bro, I'm good. I'm good, man.
I'm just browsing. I'll come and find you if I need you. And then you can never find them when you need them. What is going on in retail? So, and the reason that we do that, the reason that we say, no, thanks, I'm just browsing, is because we're afraid this person's going to try to sell me something. This person's going to, interfere with what I've got going on here. And we say that because we've been in that situation before and we don't like it.
Yeah.
Now, that same feeling of not knowing if this person has our best interest in mind, or if they're just trying to sell us something, is it possible that our prospects feel the same way when they first show up in that sales interaction with you? To a degree, yes. Of course, the defenses are up. So we got to just recognize that that's the case and go, okay, what could I do to help them get to know me a little bit better so that we could at least have a little bit more of a relationship? And so a bio video is really a couple minutes. This thing doesn't need to be long. Things that are helpful for this prospect to know about you. Could be something about your experience. Could be the fact that you have a family. Could be the fact that you've been, you really are passionate about helping people buy this thing. Whatever it is, what is it that they would need to know or understand to trust you just a little bit more than they would otherwise? And the great thing about this is anybody who's worked in sales knows there's a considerable amount of time on the front end that we spend trying to get this person just to know us a little bit, just to trust us a little bit, just to build that relationship. What if that could already be done because you made this video and you sent it to them? They know you that much more. That way, when you meet, you can really get down to the good stuff and not have to spend so much time on the relationship building, even though we love that stuff. It's great, whatever. But if we can find a way to scale that, this is a way to do that.
Love it. Absolutely amazing. Bro, I'm pumped. I'm pumped. So you taught me the assignment. You gave me this old idea of the 80% video, and now that bio video. Let them know, introducing myself kind of to them and all that fun stuff. There's a third strategy you mentioned to me before that I'm really curious about. And it was the buyer's guide. So that prep guide and how this led to like self-discovery. What's the difference between that and the homework?
Well, it's essentially the same thing, but a buyer's prep guide is a good way to think about this is, so you've got a prospect in front of you. They're perhaps going to buy a similar solution, a similar product, whatever. Like they're in the market, they're going to buy the thing. They're trying to figure out who they should buy it from. So they're aware of their problem. They're aware of the solution. Now they're on to who's going to help provide the solution to me, all these things, right? And when we hear things like that, by the way, we assume, oh, this is a slam dunk. This is a home run. There are most of the way through this buying journey, I just got to convince them that we're the ones to work with. The problem is that's a huge assumption to make. If you ask any salesperson today, what's one of the major ways that your prospect has changed over the past 10 years, they're going to tell you they're more informed. And then you say, are they always informed on the right things? Or do they sometimes have misinformation? That happens more frequently than we'd like to think about. They do come in with a lot of things, but we assume because they're saying they're ready to go that all the boxes have been checked. It's not true. And so one of the things that we teach our clients to do is create what's known as a buyer's prep guide, which goes through, this is really the way that you should be thinking about this decision. This is how much generally you should spend on something like this. So for example, let's say I'm selling copiers. Okay.
Sure.
I could give you content that's how much does it cost to buy a copier from us? Or I could give you how much should I spend on a copier? Or how much does a copier in general cost? Now I can help them really understand the factors that influence cost and price. I can help give them the logic so that they don't just see my price and go, well, it seems really expensive. If someone says this seems like it's really expensive, that means they don't really understand the value. So that buyer's prep guide should walk them through things like that. How much should I spend on a copier? What are common problems that happen within the first, let's say, 3 months of buying a new copier? There are these things that we tend to breeze over, but we should go back to some of the basics and give people the logic they need to make a great decision. That's
When
what
you
we call
ask
buyer's
that
prep.
when you ask that question about instead of you telling me, but by you asking it or helping me, you're asking a question that I would ask: how much should a copier cost?
Mm-hmm.
Like in my mind, even though you're producing the content, and there could be some bias there, I still would be willing to read that because I assume, because I've built trust with you already, that you're going to, give me what's probably in the best interest. Either way, when you said it on this podcast, I felt I wanted to at least read it to be able to see. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. It pulled me in rather than just you factually saying the copier costs this much. And I guess it's because it still made me feel like I was doing research, but you just did the work for me again. I don't know, like.
Well, that's exactly right too. There is so much information out there that we want to distill down what's the most important stuff for somebody to know to ultimately make a decision with what we have. And there's just so much misinformation out there, right? So somebody could come in thinking, oh, a copier is going to cost me $5,000, but based on really what they need, it's going to cost them 10. So if I can give them the right content that explains why they need one that's 10 and what really is impacting the difference there, then when I say, here's my recommendation, they're going to go, you know what? I remember reading that in the buyer's prep guide. I understand why. Right. So I'm not saying things like it sounds really expensive. They're going, okay, I understand why it would cost that much based on my needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And because if you brought me from the past, like, a year ago and put me into the grocery store today and told me this is the price of eggs, I'll go freak out. But if you told me what was really going on, why eggs are so expensive,
yeah,
it gave me some context. I may not necessarily make as many omelets as I would, but anyway, you gave me knowledge, you gave me insights on what that is. I love this. So these are things.
One of the greatest things. Sorry, Donald.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing about it too?
Please, yeah.
One of the greatest things is this helps us get over objections before they come up. That is the ultimate goal. If we can get in life, the best time to eliminate an objection is before it has to come up. And content like this will help us eliminate those long before they need to be brought up. If we're not hearing the same objections that we used to, we know we're doing this right.
All right. I'm putting a mark down for our team on that one. That's going to be the click to tweet. That's going to be made into like the promo video. Like,
love it.
Kill the objection before they become. Oh, man. Well, this is awesome. I love it, man. I'm a sales rep. I'm listening to this. You gave me some good stuff here. My team's not all on board on this stuff yet. What can I do to start? Which one of these could I use if you were to tell me, Donald, start off with this at least? Where would you point me to?
Well, I would go sign up for a free video creation tool, and I would make my own 80% video and my own bio video and just start using that in my process, right? An entire team doesn't need to necessarily be involved with that. You don't need to have this big initiative. These are two things you could easily go and do yourself and do them fairly well. And you'll find that some people are motivated enough that they can produce their own buyer's prep guides and content. It does take a little bit more work, and it's better if you do it with a team. But any of these things can be done by an individual. 80% in bio video, you could do in an afternoon.
In the bio video, what's that framework again? So we can put that in our show notes. What should I have on that?
The framework really is, just a little bit about who you are, what your role is within the organization, and how you view that. And, if you want to include personal stories about working with clients and things like that, whatever. The thing is, it's hard for me to prescribe, say this exactly. You just got to think, what is it that this prospect needs to know or understand about me to like me and trust me a little bit more, not in a manipulative type of way, but in a way that's going to be fruitful for that conversation before you meet. Get those defenses down as best as we can.
We're going to put some of this in the show notes here, making some notes here, man. This was awesome. Straight up like fire. I appreciate you. Appreciate this. You guys do a whole bunch of stuff over there, man. You guys are like the content kings and queens over at Impact. So why don't you take a second and guide us if folks want to get connected with you or to come and check out what you guys are doing over there at your camp?
Yeah. So you can find us impactplus.com. You can learn about all of our programs, reach out, talk to us. We'd love to talk to you. And then we have an online social learning platform called Impact Plus, and it's a software that is free to sign up into. We've got tons of courses in there. There's communities you can get involved with. You can interact with the community and our coaches and trainers in there. There's a free option. There's a paid option as well. It's all self-serve. And if your company is really interested and wants higher level coaching, then I encourage you to reach out to me directly, and we can see if we can help.
Love this, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on a show today. Rich, you're the man. Thank you so much. And you guys keep making magic and helping out the community. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Donald.
Listen, that was Zach. If you haven't connected with him yet and Impact, you can find all of their information down in the show notes. Zach is doing some amazing things when it comes to our speaking, as well as coaching individual sales teams and sales reps. So I recommend that you connect with them. They're good people, very smart, very just knowledgeable in the craft that they're and what they're doing. Listen, you can go to many different podcasts to find insights, but I'm grateful that you're here. And this is why I connected with our sponsors, and I told them that I want to make sure you get really good offers. So in the show notes, we have some great offers. We have Zach information so you can connect with them. You have some stuff you can learn about Impact there as well. But just know that your boy's out here hustling on your behalf. My goal is simple. I want you to build more pipeline, and I want to help you to do so. And I want you to be able to move the deals in your pipeline and convert more of them. If we can do that, money in the bank all day, literally speaking as well, and figuratively. So I want to help you with that. So check out what our sponsors has to offer. Check out what Zach is sharing, and then also definitely check out our LinkedIn program as we teach you how to generate those 3 appointments. As always, I want you to thrive and succeed. I want you to find more of those ideal customers, and I want you to be able to raise your level of thinking. I want you to go out and do big things. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.